Whew. Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you're doing well. And it's time for a bit of a rant, a bit of a ramble, talking about interviews and my connections to those who I interview and how that connects to the reviews and so on and so forth. There's been some curiosity over that I think is worth addressing. Though first, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor over here, the good people over at The Ridge. They still make these nifty little metal-plated minimalist wallets that fit nicely in your front pocket. Check out the link down below. 10% off if you use promo code melon. You know, oddly enough, nobody's really investigating how the wallets connect to my content. No one's investigating that. Now, with me being one of the greatest and most prolific content creators on the YouTube platform, a lot of you have been noticing that I've been doing some interviews as of late, been banging out those interviews, been nailing down some good ones too, getting some good ass guests in, and just yucking it up with the likes of Oliver Tree and Leanne LaHavas and you know, all those peeps. We've been having some good conversations, some good convos. But in the wake of that, there's been a lot of questions I've been seeing in the audience, like, is Anthony giving everyone he interviews a positive score because they did an interview with him? And while I'm glad I have an audience that is so willing to question everything and, you know, be skeptical, I think what some people are not realizing is that it's a lot less nefarious than that. And on top of it, I've actually interviewed artists and unfortunately had to turn around at some point and then give a project a negative review at some point, or even immediately after, which did at the time cause some emotions, cause some bad blood. I'm sorry if there were assumptions on account of the interview that, hey, things are going to be super positive from here on out. Maybe that's how things in other sects of the music industry run, but not over here. Not over here in Fantano Town. Fantano Town, population, my opinions. No other fucking room for anybody else. Get out. But looking at some of my most recent reviews and interviews and seeing the positive scores that have maybe come before or after said interviews, I get it. I get the interest, whether that be Leanne LaHavas or Dorian Electra, other people I could probably name too, idols as well. But allow me to demystify a few assumptions here, because number one, these people who I have on as a guest to talk to me about their music, and you see us on camera having a friendly conversation for the sake of a good piece of content that I want to reflect well on me and the guest wants to reflect well on them. We're having this conversation for your entertainment. Is it nice? Is it fun? Is it cool? Yes, I would hope it is. Now, unfortunately, some people may watch a piece of content like this and get the impression, they seem to be getting along really well right now. They look like they're friends, which is sort of odd. Like, do you watch a late show and assume every fucking person who's sitting on the couch across from Jimmy Fallon is like friends with him? Or that Joe Rogan has a blood pact with every motherfucker that comes on the Joe Rogan show? No, of course not. That's ridiculous. That's stupid. Now, when there have been friendly connections made between me and musicians who I've reviewed, I have been very open and very frank about that, and have either put that to the side in a given review if I have to, or have avoided a review if I have to, or have just been explicit about that in some way, shape, or form. Whether that be our good friend Mark Rebier, whether that be to the previous connections I've had with Joji and the work of his that I've had to review over the years, or whether that be recently Logic, who I have been in conversations with about everything he's been doing as of late. And personally, as of right now, I don't see any issue with, having a cordial or a friendly relationship with him on account of the fact that he's retired from music. I've talked about some beats that he's done on his Twitch channel, but really haven't gone deep into doing a review. And look, I mean, I've had conversations with him about this, and all of you should know this as well. I mean, regardless of the conversations I have with Logic at this point, all of my reviews of his previous material still stand. I mean, I still do not care for at all some of the projects that he's put out. I still like the projects that I like. I think my enjoyment of projects like Under Pressure and No Pressure is validated by the fact that those seem to be the favorites in his catalog amongst not only his fans, but his haters too. Plus, there are a lot of Joji fans who personally felt like I was maybe a little too rough on his latest LP. And to piggyback off of that with the point I was making earlier, back when I was doing interviews when the Needle Drop podcast was more of a thing, I had conversations and talks with guys like Milo. And yeah, Milo was not very happy when I did a very critical review of Toothpaste Suburb. I mean, I went on to enjoy later projects quite a bit, but at that point, I didn't see it as a big deal because I've reviewed a lot of his work and enjoyed a lot of his work up until that point. Tim Hecker, when I interviewed him between Virgins and before Love Streams and didn't end up liking Love Streams, yeah. And then I suppose there's the presumption that maybe these positive reviews are coming out so that I get the interviews because I need the interviews, which isn't really the case either. I mean, I know I do them and I have a lot of fun doing them. They're a supplement to what I do. I think they give me and hopefully you a lot of insight into the artists whose music we enjoy. But at the end of the day, I'm a reviewer. I think that's where my strengths are. And that's also not something I want to give up. That is primarily where my focus lies. And doing these interviews as often as I do them is just kind of a fun little side gig. At the end of the day, if the interviews totally disappeared or for whatever reason I couldn't do interviews anymore, I broke this webcam and this was the last webcam on earth and I couldn't do any more conversations with anybody, I don't know. I would still continue doing reviews. I mean, it wouldn't really change what I do. I'm not like desperate out here for an interview. If some artist blows me off or says they can't have a conversation or whatever, it's not really any skin off my ass. And I guess to make it really explicit, talking with me, choosing to talk with me before or even after an album release will not get you a positive review. At the end of the day, like, I actually have to like the record and want to come back to it in order to say anything good about it, regardless of how nice it is to talk to you over a webcam or in person or whatever. So with that, I think I've illustrated everything I need to. I mean, these interviews aren't my lifeblood. I'm not going to die if I don't get an interview. I'm not desperate out here for an interview. I'm not friends with all the people who I'm doing interviews with. I mean, more often than not, all the connections before the interview and afterwards are being done through PR. And then finally, I've done reviews of artists that either panned a record or were quite negative with people who I've done interviews with. You know, doing interviews does not mean that you get positive reviews from me from here on out or anything like that. You know, an interview is a promotional piece of content that I hope that I and also the guest gets something out of. And yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of it. The exchange, the beneficial exchange is happening right there in the process of the interview. And if it so happens that a lot of people that I've interviewed do get positive scores or positive reviews, I mean, that's mostly because I like their music, and that's probably why I'm interviewing them in the first place. Hey, this person's work is so cool, I kind of want to ask them some questions. My audience might want to ask them some questions. They might be curious about like what a conversation with them about their music and the creative process is like. I know this might have progressed into an explanation of the point of an interview, but maybe that was necessary. But let me know, guys. Let me know. Hit me up in the comments. You're the best. Mwah. Kisses. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music interviews forever.